public confidence. In studio, I'm joined by Professor Fred Ogola, an economic and governance expert, Nordin Kagai, an advocate of the High Court, and as well Honorable Marian Kitani Aldai, a member of Parliament. And even as we begin, of course, with the restoration of the public confidence main focus, the Kenyan youth are sustaining the nationwide demos, mounting pressure on the Kenya Kwanza government to meet their demands. President William Ruto made allegations that Ford Foundation is sponsoring these demonstrations. However, in a rejoinder, Ford Foundation has denied sponsoring the Gen Zs. Nordin, what do you make of, an accusation? Previously, it was, let's say, the Uhuru government. Yes. The other time, it has been blame games over and over. The Ford Foundation has responded. And it's in their right of reply to do so.
Yes.
What do you think is happening with our country, especially on blame games?
Don't forget they even blamed the Illuminati. The worst thing is that it's like we're operating on autopilot. These things are not funded by anyone. You can just see. We have gotten to a point where Kenyans are angry. They're hungry and they're tired. People have lost all hope. And partly I blame it, I can't say everything has to do with this government, but partly I blame it on them. During the campaign period, fake revolutionary and freedom fighter credentials were sold by this administration. And if you remember, there was a billboard around the Integrity Center. Freedom is coming. You remember? They sold fake revolution and freedom fighter credentials that they didn't have, because most of these people are people born started the political career in Kano. And most of them, there's no way they'd be liberators at the end of the day. So they find themselves in a situation where they say they're coming to help those who have lost a lot in life, wale wako chini wataletwa juu, but they have failed to do so. And that is why people are up in arms. This anger, as you rightfully say, has been boiling. And as a good student of history, it reminds me of someone called Mobutu. Let me tell you a brief history about Mobutu. Mobutu was a president and a half back then. We used to call it Zaire. He made a trip to the US and came back to his country, and things started going hell as to what we are seeing in this country. Back then, Mobutu was a president and the party leader of MPR, sorry. There used to be a song, they used to say, it was called Lokuta Monene MPR Ekokufa. In that song, they used to say that those who think that MPR will die waiting, that Mobutu will be there forever. Now, fast forward, things started happening immediately. He left the US for that trip that he went. And he found himself in issues as to his governance. And among the people that were against him were the youth. When the youth aired their dissatisfaction, he decided that every young man must join the military by force. And so they joined the military. He thought that is a way of quelling that. Later on, another 350 young men showed up and they were protesting. Most of them were crushed. Upon crushing them, it brought about an issue. And so dialogue was held and talks were held, and he had to relinquish his party leader position for MPR. Little did he know there was a young man called Laurent Kabila who was now coming up the east side of Zaire, now Congo. It got to a point where this protest and anger from the people led him to actually flee the country. So what am I saying in essence? You see, from the first day this protest started, it was reject the finance bill. And we mismanaged those protests. Because people were saying, reject the finance bill. The easiest thing to do was, hold on, what do people want? They don't want this thing to pass. Let us prevent Parliament from voting. If we did that, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have lost 50 lives. We wouldn't have had scores injured to date. Because it moved from reject finance bill, and now it is Ruto must go. And the Ruto must go, they are saying the Gen Z is the entire system to calm down, not just him as a person. The entire establishment, they are like, this establishment must go down, because whenever we ask for solutions, we are told, go through the system. When a system is skewed against you, you will never achieve any goal you want.
Well,
and so we find ourselves in a situation where we are at crossroads of our country. And how those in the office manage it will depend on how they work towards making us having a solution. Without that, then we'll be seeing this every other Tuesday and Thursday, sadly.
Prof. Ogola,
Yes.
you know, does it disturb you that while President William Ruto seems to show concern on the demands of the Gen Z, but at the same time come out and believe that these are just not organic demos? They must have been funded by some foreign organizations, and the foundation has even denied whatever President William Ruto alleged. Politically in Kenya, during the 2023 finance bill demos, they blamed it on the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Yeah. And perhaps to clear the air as a politician is usually not easy. But this time round, is it that the president is losing touch with the ground?
Yeah, so first of all, it's very unfortunate that the president is not diagnosing the problem and focusing on the problem rather than just reacting and throwing blames at people. In a medical model, when you are feeling unwell, we need to do a proper diagnostic. Why are these people making noise? And I told you, the government does national census for years, but they never use it. These young people are being born. No one prepared their future for them. They're finding that it's harder to get a job than their parents had. Their parents, actually their grandparents, job looked for them. They didn't look for jobs. But these young people are educated more than their grandparents, more than their parents, and they are looking for jobs which they cannot find. They have been excluded from the economic and political participation. They were just during the election. They were just being used, but no one actually gave them any position. The cabinet of the president does not qualify the youth requirement because 5% should be youth, 5% should be women at least, 5% should be at least people with disability. Those things have never been done. You look at the cabinet, the average age of the cabinet is over 60 years. That's an age of retirement. You go look at parliament, the same thing is happening there. So everywhere young people are not seeing their future is. So that's why they have lost all this hope. So according to me, I won't even start asking whether Ford Foundation financed them or not, whether I should believe that or not, whether Uhuru Kenyatta was financed. That is not the question. The question is, why are the young people having this rage? They're having this rage because of unemployment. They're having this rage because their livelihoods have been chipped away. They're having this rage because there's no comfort. You go to infrastructure. They have this rage because public service has not offered them passport. There's no IDs. You apply for an ID, it takes 1 year. No one guarantees you. In fact, I want to urge Gen Zs, they should even now start saying, application for ID, they should be told when should they come to pick it, not that we shall let you know. We shall let you know is arrogance. You should be told you're applying for an ID because these people sign performance contracts as let's say ministries. Why is it that you cannot be told how long it takes to get an ID, how long it takes to get a passport, okay, how long it is to get government documents? When I apply to do a land transfer, how long does it take to get a title deed? These people are raged by the issues which they are talking about, and they have outlined them. We want corruption to be taken out. We want accountability. Like now, last time the budget was 3.7 trillion. Have the government come out and said, out of this money, we did 1, 2, 3 with it, and therefore we should go forward? They are saying we need our government to be run like a private sector with a balance sheet and with an income statement. How much money was borrowed? When you borrow money which you don't use, and the people going to, I talk again about sovereignty. Do you know that if we borrow money and we don't pay, the people whom we owe the money can come and take money from you individually from your bank account if the government cannot pay. So we are sovereign, but also we bear the sovereign burden. So these young people are raged. So I'm asking the president, instead of shouting at who is financing them, why don't you sort out the problem that the young people have well outlined with a clear vision, with a lot of impartiality, without even talking about the political division, not tribe, they have just stated what they want. Please do it, and then even the financial cannot be relevant. I can tell you, Joel, there's no enough financing that you can finance someone to risk a bullet on their head. I don't know how much you can pay somebody to come to the street to risk a bullet. So these people are genuine concerns. Address them. Let us not start blaming people. Let us blame you for how much money you have collected and you have never given them. In fact, let me add here, when I even heard them saying money is coming from people in diaspora, people have been sending money to this economy, which is not being used well. Why are you now questioning when they send this money, if at all they do it to Gen Zs? Let them now give to Gen Zs to demonstrate than giving you if you cannot use it well.
Honorable Marian Kitani, the issues being raised by the Gen Z that have now, of course, resulted to deaths of over 50 people who, so far, there is no accountability. And in fact, in your last sitting of Parliament, we know what happened there. And
we ran.
You ran. And when the president comes out and appears to still be in denial that these are genuine concerns by the youthful population, does it disturb you?
First things first, Joel, is that I don't think the president is in denial. And that is the reason why he doesn't have a cabinet today. That is the reason why there are changes in the security sector. And we are going to expect more changes. What actually has happened, I think Fred has summed it up. These issues began way before this regime came into power. If we look at our environment, when we were in a single party system, it was the rule of the thorax. The president says that it goes. After that, we all cried for a multi-party system. And then we changed the constitution. So when we changed our constitution, we also brought in international laws into our country that said, for example, do not beat a child in school. A child should not be beaten in school. That child who is not to be beaten in school is the one who is in the streets today. We are not saying that it is wrong for them to be in the streets, but they learned at that time that they can fight for their rights at whatever time. So that kid who was taught from nursery school told, you are supposed to ask for what you think is right, and if it is wrong, the teacher, the parent will tell you, this cannot happen, this could not happen, this will happen. When I was with teachers yesterday, head principals of schools yesterday, all the principals of my constituency, and they were telling me these were the same students who, when in high school, were banning schools. Why were they banning schools? It is because that was the best way they knew how to demonstrate their anger for the administration of the various schools that they were in, because they tried talking to the principals then who knew how to manage previous regimes or previous students and not these ones. So
you agree that this is a result of boiling anger that was piling up?
I am actually getting there, and I totally agree. So we come now to where these kids are. We have reached, it starts of course from around 2019, 2020 to now. Of course, we stopped family planning a long time ago, so we've given birth. These kids are many, and there are no jobs. We don't have employment. What do these kids expect to do? They have reached a stage where they're supposed to be fending for themselves. But as we speak today, I have a Gen Z in my house. As we speak today, there is no employment. What do? They still feed from my house. They still feed from our homes. These kids want to make a living for themselves. Well, they want to do everything for themselves. So when we say the president is not listening to them, it is about, this is a problem. The diagnostics have been given. When you go to a hospital, you're sick, the doctor finally diagnoses you. Then the treatment process starts. And the treatment process is not an instant, one Panadol and you're okay.
Even as that process is ongoing, we have over 50 of them having lost their lives.
I have not finished. So this diagnosis process has begun. And the diagnosis process has said that your cabinet is corrupt. But when you look at the corruption, it is not at cabinet. When the president took office, the expectations from everybody, including myself and many of us who are seated here, is that he would clean up house. Because we are
getting to the cabinet matter. On 50 Kenyans that have lost their lives, so far, there is no police officer who has been held accountable. It's not clear whether they will be compensated and how much. Can we begin this conversation from that point first?
I don't think we can begin from that point. We have to begin from further before that point, because the issues bedeviling this country are bigger. Like, for example, we're talking about Kware Dam, and everybody
families
here,
are grieving, Mheshimiwa.
Even Kware, the 42 people who died are grieving. Shakahola, everybody is grieving. I mean, when you look at the issues around, it is not, the issues are not, we are not going to the root cause if we now look at just one issue, one item. During Uhuru regime, we remember that during demonstrations, about 228 people were killed. Were those issues ever resolved? Were those families ever compensated? Did we ever get to the root bottom? And that is what I'm saying. We need to get to the root cause of this problem. And I think when we are able to get to the root cause of this problem, there then is where we get our healing. When you go to a hospital and they try and say, what is your problem? You get the diagnostics, you get what your issue is. Then the treatment then the treatment begins. So the question is, were there funding of these violences? There could have been, there may not have been, but I want to give you an example. The demonstrations that happened in Kapsabet last week, and this is from WhatsApp and social media platforms, the WhatsApps that these people had put a group. They come say they were funded by so and so and so, and we already have that communication because they're already fighting amongst themselves.
Well, this
one was given money, this one was not given
for
money.
the interest of time.
And then when you look at why the president is talking about the Ford Foundation, I have WhatsApps. Not myself, but a WhatsApp group picture taken about money that was sent. Did you receive the 1.8 million tranche? Not yet. It was supposed to. And did you receive a flag sent by Ford Foundation? And so you shared. I don't know who shared this. So those are the WhatsApps that are there, and I have them here on the screen. Right. So when you have such communication, and the beauty about social media nowadays is that a lot of information comes to the fore.
Well, I'll now cap each one's time to 1 minute 30 in making submissions so that we balance the conversation.
Most of
and now to Nordin, you know, over 50 deaths have been recorded so far. No police has been held accountable. We're talking about restoration of the public confidence. That even as the acting IG, that is Douglas Kanja, yesterday in a press statement saying that as long as the demos are peaceful, then you can proceed. However, we still have deaths that are not accounted for. I mean, even a journalist was yesterday shot 3 bullets. She was unarmed, clearly being identified as a journalist. What do you make of it?
First and foremost, it's very sad because heads need to roll. You see, you cannot say that we are going to have demos that so long as they are peaceful, no one will interfere with them, and then when they are peaceful, you tear gas them, you use rubber bullets, water cannons, and et al., and then claim that the protesters were spoiling for a fight. You know, I find it hypocritical because yesterday I saw the president's tweet to Donald Trump speaking about democratic values, while we do not exercise the same in this country. We have an entire constitution that talks about rights, and you want to infringe on rights, but you want to talk about, he's condemning the heinous acts of the perpetrators. Who is condemning the heinous acts of the police? Because the police here have killed people. No action has been taken. We have not seen any police officer who has been arrested. We have not seen any of them who has been questioned. You rightfully talk of one of your staff who has been shot. We don't know what has happened. We have seen some from the media council who have said they're going to take up the county commander to court. So it doesn't have to get to that place because all these firearms and all these bullets, you can always trace them to which gun was used to fire. So I believe at the end of the day, as a country, we can keep blaming whoever we want to blame. But the most interesting thing is that the only Ford we saw on the road yesterday were Ford Rangers, which is a photo of a Ford Ranger with people who had rungus. So we don't have those are the Ford Foundation. And the president needs to tell us, by the way, when he and the Ford Foundation fell out. Because these are the same people that when he went to the United States were with him. So what has changed? This bosom buddiness that was there, what has happened? Because you can't keep changing the goalpost. At one point, it was the former president. The next point, it was Evil Society. Well, now we are being told Illuminati and now Ford Foundation. So I believe we need to have an honest conversation so we unravel whatever is happening. But at the end of the day, I do believe that whatever is happening is organic, courtesy of the frustrations most Kenyans have. Prof.
Ogola, of course, keeping in mind the 1 minute 30 submissions. you know, we still have no police officer who has been held accountable. You know, the young prisons warden who was here yesterday said he's disturbed that he will be interdicted for protesting against high taxation, whereas his counterparts who have killed over 50 Kenyans have not been even interdicted at the moment.
Yeah.
Talk about it and how then Kenyans get to have the confidence in their government, especially the investigations body, IPOA, DCI, when they come and say that we are going to investigate.
According to me, the problem we are having here is that no one is following what is called governance and leadership manual. And I'm hearing people talking about, oh, we need dialogue, we need to do this and that. I like Gen Zs, and I told Gen Zs, I'm always with you because you really strike me brilliant. Because of the fact that, as a governance expert, Joel, the governance manual and leadership manual is one, the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The second manual is laws of Kenya, which are made in Parliament and other places. And the third manual is government policies. Let me tell you what, Joel, everything is there in details, even how to appoint a cabinet. Chapter 6 is there. When they are saying that you cannot appoint incompetent cabinet, it is there in the Constitution. The president needs to know that he has a manual. It's like the president has been given a car called Kenya, and you are driving this car without using the manual, then you are seeking dialogue from. If you are a driver and you have been given the driving rules, why are you still calling for dialogue on how to drive? Do you want to go drive on the right when you should drive on the left? According to me, we do not need dialogue. We do not need all these things. For example, the policeman, how the policeman is held answerable is in the Constitution of Kenya, laws of Kenya, and government policy. So what happens if a policeman shoots? I've seen in one of the papers here, I don't know which page is it, the PS Internal Security has said that the policemen were told to be restrained on attacking or approaching the protesters. What does restraint mean? The restraint is not anywhere else. It's in the Constitution of Kenya, laws of Kenya, and the police of Kenya. So according to me, I like what the policeman is saying, simply to bring back public confidence, can we see the president abiding by the law? The cabinet itself was unconstitutional. Then the Finance Act, unconstitutional. Finance Bill, unconstitutional. There was more public participation. In fact, let me tell Gen Zs, why you melt my heart is that we have been going to court trying to do something, and you came and did it and taught us what does it mean to do public participation. You redefined it. Well, because when I was in court, I was challenging the Finance Bill, House Levy, that it didn't go through public participation, but the Gen Zs just came and told them, stop it. And allow me, Joel, to finish this because this is important. For me, these young people, whom now are being called children, I want to call you citizens of Kenya. You have told very old people like the MPs and government officials that stealing is illegal just by your action. So according to me, they are now telling you how the police should treat them. The police should treat them the way they treat the police. They are peaceful. Come peacefully. Remember, Kenya police service should be at the service of the citizens who are their employers. Well, but you cannot go and hit them. So according to me, to restore public confidence, apart from the police being put to book, the cabinet officials that the president said in his statement, he sacked them because they are corrupt. We want to see them being arraigned in court immediately and being charged and recover the money. That will make Kenyans, because there is no day Kenyans have ever recovered money stolen. The day the president will do that, we cannot allow him to appoint the cabinet. But you cannot remove thugs who go home with our money. Then you want to bring another thugs who will go back with our money. And then we continue celebrating and saying there's public confidence. We cannot.
Keep the conversation going also. Especially on the constitution of the cabinet, which will be coming back with, what will or should President William Ruto do to restore confidence in the people, especially with who he will appoint to his cabinet. We take a short commercial break. I'll be sampling some of the feedback. Stay tuned.